It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jay Rouse. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with
Dan Marver.
WCPT. WCPT.
This the coldest boys show. You were getting the hour from 6 p.m. to 7. Chilling with
Robert Scott.
in the man marvelous. Shout out to Mr. Rouse and the Italian style. You what sports is the only politic.
WCPT. WCPT. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with
Mike Mercado.
It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with
Devin Tingle.
Live from the illustrious studios of WCPT 820 in Chicago, streaming on Facebook, this is the Rewind Sports 60. This is the fastest hour in sports talk radio. And I want to get down to our esteemed panel here, but I feel like the intro song kind of already did that. So he's not over at Wrigley Field. He's not pairing up the broken window up front. He's in the studio. He's the marvelous one, Dan Marver. What's up, Marver?
How you doing? Yeah, I was wondering. I thought maybe I was here to fix the window. I wasn't sure. But, there's a lot going on, of course, in sports, naturally baseball. But it's funny. The West Conference, as we'll talk about in the NBA, started their conference finals today, whereas the East won't be starting till Wednesday. So, if the Suns happen to sweep again, they'll have another week or more off. So that should be interesting since the Suns won today, of course. But the Cubs and Sox are still doing okay. They're hanging in there. The Sox don't have the best record in baseball anymore, but
Way to hurt me like that.
Yeah, and Keuchel's return to Houston wasn't that successful today.
You're gonna hurt. I gotta go to our next guest then. He's not in the studio with us this week. I think he's sitting on his ass on his couch. He's the host of Mercado Airwaves. Sports on the Couch. He's Mike Mercado. What's up, Mercado?
What's going on, boys? Happy Father's Day to all the pops in the studios, my old man, and Devin, the MVP with that intro, kid. I see you.
Thank you. I was expecting you and Marver to start roasting me for the White Sox in honor of having the best record in baseball.
Oh, we got an hour, the fastest hour in sports, but we got an hour to do that.
And next, but certainly not least, we got our buddy. He's been joining us a lot. He's going to be tuning in a lot more at the end of the show, but he's the host of Rob's 2 Cents. He's Robert Scott. What's going on, Robert?
What's going on, man? Appreciate the intro, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, y'all.
Happy Father's Day. Now, I wanted to, when I pitched the show, I wanted to start off with this clip earlier this week.
Yes, right field, and the White Sox have the best record in Major League Baseball. Walk it off, yes. 8-7 your final.
And then they go on a 4-game losing streak. I'm the only White Sox fan in this studio right now, and I don't know about you, Robert, but Mercado and I, we go back and forth in the halls. Marver, I say he's not at Wrigley Field, he's not in the bullpen, he's in the studio. And just seeing the White Sox going from the best record in baseball to this morning being tied with Boston for the best record and just falling apart against the Houston, which is another good team.
Astros are better right now.
Yeah, I know, Marver. Just seeing the pitching, like Dylan Cease got rocked. Dallas Keuchel didn't even make it to the 4th inning today. It's like, this is crazy. Like, what is happening to this good baseball team? Or is this just something in Chicago sports? You get hot and you have to fall apart eventually.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Mercado?
I think it's just, me and the Marvelous One could go in and want to make sure that this is a hard Sunday for you. But to be fair, this is a team that's hurt. This is a team that's going through a buzzsaw right now. So maybe better now in June than in October. Maybe.
But we've been with Eloy and Roberts for at least Eloy since the start of the season. They've still been having good winning streak, being the best record in baseball. You had Yasmani Grandal of all people hitting the game-winning home run 4 days ago. And it's just so interesting. The team that had such great pitching is just falling apart. And, they went through 6 pitchers today in today's game against Houston. The White Sox have never had the strongest bullpen. I can understand that. And they do have a day off tomorrow, so maybe that'll help them recuperate. But just this bullpen just falling apart right before us at each game. The Cubs starters, they're not going only 4 innings. They're at least making it to the 5th or the 6th, and Again, we'll get to the Cubs after this, but just I want to start with the White Sox because I get a feeling this is where this is going to go here. I want to come in gloating like, yeah, best team in baseball. How's it feel, Marver? How's it feel? And now it's like one of those memes online, like images before tragedy happens. Just me with my pants like staring at Marver in the studio.
Yeah. In my defense, I don't dislike the White Sox. In fact, they're in good shape. They're 2.5 games ahead of Cleveland, who's going to lose their next 2 games. and actually, in point of fact, actually, the Astros and the Athletics both have a better record than the Sox now. But San Francisco has the best record in baseball, and they're really a mystery. So the Dodgers are ahead of the Sox now. So they've slipped a little bit, but I still think, with that pitching, they ought to be able to turn it around. And, I think they will. They right now, it's Indians is the only other risk because they're 10 games ahead of the Royals, and the Twins and the Tigers are pretty much out of it. They're way below 500. But I think that the Sox, with their pitching, will be okay. And I'm not a Sox hater, just to make sure. I don't want anybody to come to the studio.
They already broke our window once.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
You know what?
I feel you. Keep going, Mercado.
Well, let me tell you, at least when you're looking at what they just did the last few weeks, right? They have gotten right when they're supposed to. It was a nice series against Tampa Bay. We talk about the walk-off, right? You took care of business against Detroit. You had the buzzsaw against Houston. You're not healthy. Okay, that's going to happen. But if you're looking to get right, you have the series against Pittsburgh. Then you have the Mariners. And then you could really take it out on a division rival like the Twins. So going right back to Detroit, it's setting itself up that at the very least you can make and get that ground back and get people healthy and try to figure out what's going on with your main. And, it'll be the time right now to get right if you're the White Sox.
Right. The AL Central, the White Sox can destroy that because it's such an easy division. Like, Marver said, it's clear Cleveland's going to lose their next 2 games. And Pittsburgh's another team I feel everyone should beat, just like the Detroit Tigers. But I'm starting to notice, like, when they face teams like the Yankees and even the Rays, they struggled a little bit with. And they face, like, better teams not in their division, they struggle a little bit more. And just that could be something in the playoffs that could be if they make it to the playoffs, it could be a really big challenge to get over.
Absolutely, and not only the Pirates and the Mariners, and they have the Twins, but on the 4th of July weekend, the Sox spend that time in Detroit, which is also right now a good place to visit for a 4-game series. And just in case anybody's really wondering, the Indians are at Wrigley Field on Monday and Tuesday. That's what we were referring to. To hopefully the White Sox will be able to gain some ground while they beat up on the Pirates.
Even if you look a little bit deeper, too, it's against Baltimore. So you don't really have to worry about a real bad team on your schedule until Houston. And that's going to be into mid-July. So maybe you get right and you see what you could do in the rematch in the middle of, July.
Right, very valid points, all to think about. And I like to do this weekend review for the White Sox and preview. How do you guys think they're going to do? Marver, you got the schedule over there. Tell us who they're facing.
Well, the Pirates, they're in there for a Tuesday night and Wednesday afternoon game. The Pirates have been struggling. Their closer is amazing. He might make the All-Star team, but the rest of the team has not been that successful. Then they come back home right after that for the Mariners for 3 and the Twins for 4 before they go to that aforementioned Detroit series around the 4th of July weekend where they actually play 3 games there. Might have said 4. And then the Twins also on the road. Then we're up to the All-Star break after the Orioles. So there are a lot of teams that they can beat in there, and the divisional games are really important too. So, I think that they'll be okay. I think this Astros team is pretty good. So it isn't like, they were playing a bunch of bums this weekend. So they should be able to right the ship with that starting pitching. I still think it's superior.
It's superior. Just sad how it fell apart this week.
Right. This is true.
All right. Let's move on to your guys' baseball team, the good old Chicago Cubs, who are now tied for first place.
That's true.
And a lot of people are saying, the Chicago Cubs have been, doing their call-ups. Injuries happened. Marver, Mercado, a lot of people are saying this was a fluke team. They weren't supposed to make it this far, and they should be looking to sell once the trade deadline comes. What do you guys think?
Well, as for me, I think that I don't want them to sell, but then again, they might not get anything for the free agents in the long run. But right now, being tied for first place, the problem is they're not getting much, at least this weekend, from Arrieta yesterday, as he got bombed, and for that matter, I wish they still had Darvish and Lester, because Lester pitched 6 innings and got 10 strikeouts yesterday against the Mets in his first win with the Washington Nationals. So I think that I don't think that they're going to like run away with the division. The Brewers and even the Reds now are hot, and the Cardinals are going to be tough. So I don't know. They may not even make the playoffs, honestly. But I think that they will not be sellers. I don't think they're going to do that as long as it looks like they're in the race, which will likely be the case because the deadline's a month off for trading.
And it's so true, yeah, because you're looking at a team that is going to make it hard for Jed Hoyer and ownership, and you're seeing the PR machine come out a little bit of, well, there's going to be some income, and it's just going to be to the discretion of the front office. But if you have a team right now, like let's put all the poker chips on the table right now here on Father's Day weekend. Are the Cubs going to win the World Series? Do we see them beating a Dodgers team, a Mets team, a San Diego team? We've seen it in a series in the regular season. But when bullpens get smaller, pitcher rotations get smaller, lineups get more consistent, and you're going to need your guys, and you're going to need to be healthy. How is this front office and its ownership going to look at this team? You and I, like me and the Marvelous One, are sitting here saying, like, we've seen the greatness of a Chris Bryant. We've seen it with Javier Baez, the potential with Wilson Contreras, so on and so forth. We know it. But it's what they're willing to invest and what they foresee and how they think this window really is. And right now, this is a team that's won some impressive games, some really interesting moments for that bullpen, a strong comeback for Craig Kimbrell. But that's just us sitting in the stands or even people who cover the damn team. If you're looking at what that front office is thinking, though, do they actually see this team going and winning a wild card, winning a divisional series, championship series, and then winning a World Series? I mean, I don't know about you guys. It's my confidence is not that high for that entire thing. While I think they're making it really tough and interesting for us.
Yeah, well, the thing is with the call-ups and the successful performances of guys like Wisdom and Ortega and Alcantara, for that matter, they have ready replacements should they decide to move the big three, namely Rizzo, Baez, or Bryant. But the problem actually has been the starting pitching, because once you get to that bullpen, Tapera hasn't given up a run, in Lord knows how long, and then Chafin comes in and he does the job, and of course, for that matter, the closer, it's been untouchable with Kimbrell. So if they could get maybe a starting pitcher, that would be great. But with the Iowa call-ups, it's been pretty remarkable. With the injuries that they've had, particularly in the infield now with Horner out and Bodie for that matter, and even in the outfield, they've really had these replacements. It looks like maybe they could step in if need be. So that's a good question. And would they actually try to move the players to get a starting pitcher, a quality one? And that would be the only way I would want to do it right now.
Let's go down that road a little bit. Let's explore. Let's just have some fun with it, right? It's Sunday. It's only us, right? And who's listening with us talking?
Yeah, right. Everybody's having a Father's Day dinner.
So
put away the barbecue. Come on.
Yeah. So let's just say that they are in the market for a starting pitcher, right? Let's say it's like a Scherzer or whatnot. Do you think that they're willing to give up equity at this point for this window? I wonder how much they're willing to give up if they think that they're that close to winning a World Series to get a top of the line. Because here's the thing and you said it right in the beginning of it. They had that guy in Yu Darvish. So like they've had it before, and it wasn't like they had to get rid of him. So I wonder what they're willing or what their mindset is going to be to get to that point. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, Davies was doing well until Friday. So, as a replacement for Darvish, and Arrieta was actually replacement for Lester pretty much, and both of them failed on Friday and Saturday. So now I'm wondering, right now, Hendricks is the only solid starter, and they're going to have some of their regular starters back soon, like Williams. Might come back from his appendectomy soon, and Alzolay is going to pitch tomorrow. So they're going to have to rely on those other guys, it looks like, because I'm not sure about Arrieta. He might be at the end of the line, honestly. And Davies has been disappointing, giving up 8 runs in 6 innings on Friday. So I still feel that they won't be sellers, but if they could get a Scherzer, I might do it.
But just do you think, like, they traded Yu Darvish for 4 prospects at the beginning of the season. Yeah. And now they're winning all of a sudden. Do you think this is a team that's going to be like, we need to gun-ho and try and get, one more wild card win? Like Mercado's saying in the big office, they're looking, where is this team going to go? Or would you be happy if they got rid of, these 3 big guys and they did another sort of like 2016 rebuild with all the young kids? Like what the White Sox are doing in the past few years. We got rid of our Sales, our Adam Eatons, even though he's back.
Yeah.
Just what do you see? What is the end goal you want to see at the end of the season for this team, Marver and Mercado?
I'll give my shot at that. I mean, I would think that management will want to build for the future at some point. And like I said before, I mean, they've shown some evidence that they have some replacements for these three guys. And I don't know about, I can't think that Rizzo would leave, but I almost think that Bryant would. And I'm not sure about Baez, but he's been so sparkling defensively, and he probably looks at the deal that Tati's got and says, "Why not me?" So it wouldn't shock me if one of those two left. So the question is, do you want to get nothing for them, or do you want to make a deal? So that would be the question that sticks out there. And when they got Duffy and they've got and Horner comes back and Bote, they got plenty of infield replacements, to be honest. So I would think that if they made a deal, it wouldn't be Rizzo. It might be the other two guys I just mentioned. If they could get a quality starting pitcher, and I don't know if they could get Scherzer, but he would certainly be a quality starting pitcher.
It's interesting because I think on the surface, everybody wants to win. But if you're looking at Jed Hoyer and you're just, making guesses and you're kind of seeing how everything started in the offseason and how it happened during the winter and where we're at now, I think he really wants to restart this. I think he wants to rebuild. I think part of the fun that he and Theo had were the rebuilding of it and making it a sustained winner. And to be honest, that's what they did. They only won one World Series. They had sustained winning, not championships. They had the one. So I could see a guy like that wanting to get his hands on new talent, on a new scheme. And like we've been talking about, there's guys that they're bringing up and guys that are hitting and developing. So there's some excitement there. The real question becomes who is he loyal to? Who is a Jed Hoyer loyal to long-term that he's willing to give $200 million to? I think Chris Bryant, if the offer is right, would still come here because at the end of it, you got to go where somebody's going to give you the money. And we're seeing right now that ownership is not trying to give out all these major deals unless you're this young phenom like Tatis Jr. You have somebody like Francisco Lindor, who the Mets paid all this money to get that contract from Cleveland, and he's coming back up. But think about how that contract looked in the beginning of the season and all that money you're going to have to pay. I, for one, think that if it's a development issue, I can understand the argument of wanting to move on. If it's a financial thing and you're crying poor to us, that's where I draw the line with this whole thing. You can have a conversation with me telling me we want to move on from KB because we think these years we're past these good years, or we think Javier Baez is this type of ceiling, so on and so forth, whatever excuse you could give. But if you're going to tell me it's because we can't afford these guys, that's where I think that I'm calling the BS meter. That's my big issue with this entire situation is the Ricketts are poor. Come on now.
Welcome to Sports Mercado. We're going to take it to the phone lines. We got a caller from the 773. Hi, you're on the Rewind Sports 60. Who are we speaking with today?
Tom, Chicago, Northwest Side.
Hey, Tom, what do you want to talk about today?
I just was wondering, fellas, I always appreciate you being on the air. Is Jerry away for Father's Day?
Yes, he's spending the day with his kids, so he let me sit in the chair as long as I don't cost station license.
You guys are great. Anyway, I just wanted to run down a whole litany of things with you. Kyle Schwarber equaling a record, 5 home runs in 2 days. We got this Peterson guy. We would have been much better off holding on to, although I'm a Sox fan and not a Cubs fan. Schwarber is he's a mini Babe Ruth to me. If you've seen any of the home runs he's hit in the last couple of days, unbelievable. And getting rid of Darvish, horrible thing. And even if they would have held on to Victor Caratini, they would have hit something, it's just crazy. And with the White Sox, forget it. If it weren't that the Sox were going to see these stumble bums this week, with the Pirates in the next couple of days, and then they got Seattle. If it wasn't for that, if they were going to face the competition the Cubs are having this week, I'd say the Sox are going right down the drain.
All right, thanks for the call, Tom. Anyone want thoughts in here? I don't think the White Sox are going down the drain, Tom.
No.
That's just me. This every year the White Sox have that little halfway stumble, and I was a little overdramatic at the top. But I do think this is a team that can definitely at least make a wild card push.
And definitely, I would agree with that. And in terms of Schwarber, I mean, he's hitting 232. He has his 15 home runs. So, I mean, that would be nice to have him. But Peterson's better defensively, clearly. And Peterson's seems to be doing a little bit better against left-handers than at the beginning of the year. So I'm not dissatisfied with Peterson personally. And in terms of, I'm looking at Baez, his batting average hasn't been that good. He's always been a guy that strikes out a lot. So, I mean, with his great defensive capabilities, that might be a guy that they want to do something with, because I just feel for sure that he'd want to be a free agent when he looks at the Tatis Jr. and Lindor shortstop paydays that they've had.
Yeah,
Mercado?
It's when it comes to the Schwarber thing, everybody, just remembers the home runs against Pittsburgh in the wild card game, the crazy bomb against St. Louis. And, I think in the beginning of the offseason, when we saw some of these deals get done and they just seemed like cheap moves, it was and this is just being honest, right? At least just for what the perception was, that they were just making these moves, getting rid of these guys and getting replacements for them. Oh, Schwarber leaves. Let's get Jock Peterson, essentially the same player. And like the Marvelous One just said, a better defensive player. But you could see the mindset of the fans thinking, well, what are we doing if you're just swapping characters? John Lester for Jake Arrieta, like, you could see where that's coming from. Where I think it's interesting is that it has worked out for them in Washington, and the Cubs are in first place in the NL Central. So you don't have that fan argument of like who's right and who's wrong yet. You don't have one where Washington has these two studs, and the Cubs have kind of found the way to survive without these two guys. So and then when it comes to the White Sox, I think that can be said for any of these teams. If you play like they did against Houston, it don't matter if you're Houston, the White Sox, the Red Sox, Tampa Bay. If you play like that, nobody's getting out of that NL or AL like that.
Exactly. This is the fastest hour in sports talk radio. So we're moving on from baseball to the football. The Chicago Bears put in a bid for the new stadium in Arlington Heights.
Yeah.
Friend of the program, Lori Lightfoot, she called that a negotiation tactic. I don't know. The Bears have been looking for a new stadium for years. Soldier Field is one of the only fields in America, actually in the world, that doesn't natural grass. The other stadium that does not have AstroTurf, Marver?
The other one in the NFL?
It's not the NFL. It's in the MLB. It's the Sky Dome with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Really?
No other team in America is using natural grass.
Well, and the Sky Dome hasn't been used for a year and a half either.
Yeah, it's like this is just they've been trying to get out of Soldier Field for years. I mean, if we remember a few years back, the painting the grass green fiasco, and they forgot to water it. I don't know. I am ready for the Bears to get out of Soldier Field. I'm ready for them to go to Arlington Heights because that's where the people are. People don't live in Chicago; they live in the suburbs and will come out here. And Lori Lightfoot, this is a negotiation tactic. They've been wanting out for years, back when Emanuel was mayor, back when Daley was mayor. Like, this isn't anything new. Yeah. I'm all for the move. I don't see what Soldier Field is so great about this. Marvin, your thoughts?
Well, the only downside would be is there isn't great there isn't many public transportation. The highways all go into downtown. So other than that, it's a great move. There's Route 53, and there is the Metro that does go into Arlington Park. But, that would be one of the arguments against it would be the accessibility, to people that aren't in the northwest suburbs, which would be, quite a few fans, honestly. But I'm all for it. I'd like him to build a dome and get a Super Bowl, and have 70, 80,000 seats. But I don't know if that's going to happen because it seems like we've had this scenario before when they, threatened to move or they got the update of Soldier Field back, back in the early 2000s when they played in Champaign for a year or two. But it's hard for me to see them moving, but it could happen. Really could.
Mercado?
So here's some things I think we should just kind of put out front first, right? Is we know that the lease goes to 2033, and we know regardless of what happens, the NFL has to okay the move. So let's say they do want to move to Arlington Heights, they win the bid, the NFL has to say, yeah, you can make that move, and you got to get through this lease. Those two things, all right, cool. We did the professional thing, we did the honorable thing, we talked about that. Let's not move that to the side. You're talking about a family-owned business that doesn't own the arena, the venue, the restaurant that they work at. They don't make any money from this. Look at the rest of the NFL. Look at Jerry World. Anytime there's a Final Four, a WrestleMania, a Super Bowl, who do you think that money is going to? This family is looking for generational wealth. And now to us, all of us here, we love the Bears, and that means a lot to own them. But when you're talking about different money to own a stadium, to own the hotels around the stadium, to own some of the restaurants around the hotels around the stadium, on top of hosting, there is so much financial gain. And there's only so much you can do if you are in the lakefront. And I think kind of a fun speculative thing for us fans or us that, aren't necessarily in the business side of it, the potential of having a 64,000 empty stadium for maybe the Jaguars, for maybe the Cardinals. The ideas are endless when you put this on the table. Do I think it is a ploy? Yeah, I do think, just like anything else, just like bidding for the lot, it's responsible to make this a bid to see how the city responds. I think this is a win-win for the family and for the Chicago Bears.
I would agree to some extent. The problem is I don't know what the terms are of the lease that goes till 2033. I mean, there might be a financial component to that too, and it would be nice for them to not be tied in to a city-owned property. And you're right about they can, put in restaurants and what have you. I'm just wondering about the other bids. I mean, some of the bids will keep a racetrack there, and the racetrack has been there a long time, and it's been pretty successful. So I'm just wondering if, maybe it won't end up being still partially a racetrack, and they talked about it being, a smaller indoor arena, a hockey, basketball type of thing. So that's a possibility too, from what I'm reading.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting thing. The NFL is all about helping teams build new stadiums or innovate. And the big thing I don't like about Soldier Field is so many players say they hate playing there. And I think if we get like a real stadium, or at least even if they just make some changes to Soldier Field, maybe we can get some better players who are like, I'll come play for the Bears. I'll play 7 or 8 games a year on this field. It doesn't suck. You know what?
Particularly the kickers would like to go to a nice dome stadium in December rather than the tricky wind conditions and such at Soldier Field.
I feel every sports team in the Midwest should have a dome. Let's look at the Minnesota Twins have gotten snowed out before. Like, this is a sign, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait! I don't know about that, because I mean that takes away from Chicago football now. I mean, that freezing cold weather puts fear in people's hearts.
I'll give you that, Robert. But look at guys like Peyton Manning who could never play in the cold, but guys like Tom Brady who love it. I mean, the Chicago Bears. The thing about Soldier Field is everyone's like, oh, the history. This is a history of losing. We've won 1 Super Bowl, made it to 2, and a handful of playoff runs. This is like, we need the change here. Maybe something like a dome. Guess what? We take that away. I understand the fear of the game, but we need to make some changes. If we put a dome in, maybe we'll get some friggin' wins, and maybe Cody Parkey makes that kick.
Yeah, they won in '63 at Wrigley Field, so who knows?
All right, Rob, you're shaking your head at me. Go on.
Oh, no. I agree with you. I still remember that Cody Parker kick. Oh, the history of losing.
Doink.
It just touched the soul right there.
Let me ask you boys something. Let me ask you something before we can do too many doinks and start getting everybody in Chicago on Founders Day depressed. What about, though, let's say the Chicago weather, right? Let's say that the one and only Justin Fields is the goods. He doesn't have to be Patrick Mahomes, but let's say he's the goods. Top 10 quarterback, which is crazy to say about the Chicago Bears, but maybe, do we want him playing in this bad weather, or do we want to see him doing his thing in beautiful turf where the stadium is built for him, and when he has a top tier wide receiver and seeing this offense go on full cylinder? I mean, just thinking Madden style, fantasy football style, I think that's an interesting prospect of Bears weather is one thing, but Justin Fields weather is another thing.
Yeah, you're assuming they'll still be with the team when the stadium is
built
in
true.
2028.
Hey, look, if Tom Brady plays till 58 years old, then we'll have the presidents finally.
At that rate, but this is the Bears, and developing quarterbacks never goes that far. We can dive in that for a middle bit, but let's take a look at this. So we're going to call this the Mike Mercado Dome. We got Justin Fields, who's playing phenomenally. Allen Robinson, who's staying with the Bears for some reason because they're winning here. And I feel this could be something different. We need a change here, Look at his, especially with these young quarterbacks like RG3. It was a rainy day when he slipped and ended up tearing. He had that bad knee, and him tearing the whole thing and almost losing his leg. Like this, it's a dangerous game already, and these weather elements, especially here. I feel this could just do something different. That Super Bowl against the Colts. I say, if it wasn't raining and it wasn't in a dome, the Bears are winning against Peyton Manning. I don't care what anyone says. I do understand where Rob's coming from. Yeah, the weather is a big part. We're tough, and you strike fear in the eyes. But I'm a fan. I don't like sitting in like freezing cold weather wearing a poncho, hoping my team's going to win. And this is the Bears. They don't do that too often. Say what you want. You can call me all the names under the sun. I would much rather be sitting in Bears Stadium in December with my shorts on and my, good old Walter Payton jersey, sipping a beer with the boys.
What are you thinking about, Devin? A poncho? You thinking about a parka?
Yeah, the parka and the poncho when it's just snowing and pouring rain on you, Marver.
Yeah.
Winning would change a lot of things, though. So maybe if Justin Fields works it out, I guess -5 will be fine if you're beating the brains of the Green Bay Packers.
Well, that's a different story. When they get rid of Aaron Rodgers, then maybe we'll have a chance. Unless
how much does that change? Well, it's funny, Devin, you say that. How much does that change your thoughts about the Bear season? Like, if you go into the summer and you go into this fall with Aaron Rodgers on the Packers and Aaron Rodgers not on the Packers, how much does that change your outlook for? It's night and day for me. It's all of a sudden, if Aaron Rodgers is out of the NFC North, not only is it wide open, I think the Bears make an argument to be the favorites. So what do you guys think?
I mean, the Bears have always had a better defense than offense. And in the NFC Central, NFC North, that does not work in this thing. And if you take away a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's one of your biggest point scorers, and now you got Matthew Stafford gone, you got Jared Goff and Kirk Cousins, who's, Mr. Average at best. I definitely feel the Bears defense, I'm not saying they're going to win every game against, every team in that division, but definitely I could see them having a winning record for the first time in, 4 or 5 years now, Marver?
At least. I think that's right. The thing is that it would also depend where Aaron Rodgers ends up. Look what happened. Everybody said, Brady, he goes to Tampa. He can't do it by himself. And where Rodgers goes might make a big difference, too. I can't imagine he go to Minnesota or Detroit within the division, but that would change the equation, too.
Right.
Oh, yeah, but everybody is not Tom Brady. You got to imagine, when you get a caliber quarterback like that, you give that man what he wants.
Yeah, but they had Brett Favre. They didn't give him what he wants, and he went to New York, then Minnesota, and for his first year in Minnesota, kicked everyone in the NFC North's butt, I could see Aaron Rodgers going to a team like the Texans or the Jets or the Washington football team, maybe even the Cardinals, or even the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Ben's got to go eventually. Yeah. But if the Bears aren't facing Aaron Rodgers as much, wherever Aaron Rodgers goes, he's going to wreak hell to any division, and you better get your stuff together.
Tell me what you boys think about this.
He has a point to prove.
Right. Robert, tell me what you think about this, because you mentioned it about when Tom Brady is able to get pieces that work for him and, you build around him. Can you make an argument about Aaron Rodgers with, guys like Jordy Nelson and some of the tight ends that he have? Is there an argument to be made that if he goes to, Denver, that it's only Jerry Jeudy? Is there something to be said that we're kind of using those rose-colored – what do you think? Am I crazy for – maybe thinking that might be a little bit overblown, that Aaron Rodgers hasn't had the talent surrounding him?
Oh no, Aaron Rodgers has had the talent around him. I don't think he's had the control that Tom Brady has had. He's been clashing, whether it's been with the coach, whether it's been with the GM, as opposed to Tom Brady. He got out of New England, he goes to Tampa Bay, and they go to him before they make moves. He brings in Antonio Brown. He brings in Leonard Fournette. I don't think Aaron Rodgers has that kind of pull in Green Bay, which he should. He has bought this city a championship, so it's just crazy the disrespect that Aaron Rodgers did receive. And not to misquote Stephen A., but Aaron Rodgers is a bad man.
I'll get you that, but here's my thing about the Packers that I've noticed. You have two of the best quarterbacks in the history of the game with 2 Super Bowl rings to show for it. This might be the thing, no Packers quarterback has stayed on the Packers for more than 16 years, and this is Rodgers' 16th year. Do you think maybe it's just time to be bye-bye, Aaron, we're going to move on with the next kid, thanks for everything? I see where you're coming from, Rob. He won him a Super Bowl, but he's won them one. He has the same amount of NFC championship wins as Rex Grossman. Do you think the Bears should have given Rex Grossman whatever the hell he wanted?
Of course not, but we are talking about a man that's fresh off an MVP season, when everybody thought he was washed up, especially because the Packers disrespecting him by not even letting him know, hey, we're going to get Jordan Love. We're going to keep our eyes on another quarterback. Not saying you're out of the picture, but we're going to bring a quarterback in. To just completely do that without even running it past your star quarterback, what kind of message does that send? That's saying, hey, we think it's about your time. Your time is about done here in Green Bay. And then he comes out and win the MVP. So you got to keep your eyes on that situation over there, because if they lose Aaron Rodgers, like you said, I believe the Bears do become the favorite in the NFC North.
I mean, Rob, they did the same thing though with Brett Favre a lot. They drafted a lot of signed a lot of quarterbacks under Favre and drafted a few, and they got rid of them because they didn't need them, and that just might be the thing. They need to give Aaron Rodgers his shot. He had his 7-9 season when he first started, and then the next year just came back and I believe they won the Super Bowl that year, if memory serves me right. But the thing about Aaron Rodgers is he always chokes in the playoffs. You might need a guy who you might lose a few seasons, but if he can get there and not choke in the playoffs every year, you might have some good going for you. And that's just what I've noticed with Aaron Rodgers is he can get you that NFC Championship game, but only once has he done it, and that's the problem, I think. It might just be time to move on, get him somewhere, because I think he's only got maybe 2-3 years left of him. It's time to give these kids, their shot here. The Bears are putting all their marbles in the Andy Dalton case here, but, it's like, I'm with Mercado. If Fields needs to get that start, I get it. You spend a lot of money on Dalton, but I got a feeling it's going to be like Mike Glennon. He's going to, 3 or 4 starts, and he's out.
Yeah. I see Fields starting the game for it. I don't see Andy Dalton. I mean, Andy Dalton pretty much with that Dallas game, they had a gift wrap for him, and you couldn't even get Dallas to the playoffs. So I'm not putting all my eggs in the basket for Andy Dalton.
All right, everyone. Final thoughts on the NFC North at the end of next season. Who's going to be in first place, and what's the record? Marver?
I still go for Green Bay. And don't forget, it's 17, so it'll be I think it's going to be a lot more losses depending upon how it goes. 11-6, and by the way, this isn't even Matt LaFleur. Isn't the there are cases where Rodgers has been hurt in the past, so you got to have a backup like Love anyway. But I mean, so I don't think that Rodgers should be totally offended by that they drafted a quarterback, because eventually they would need one. But on the other hand, it isn't LaFleur, the coach, isn't the one that decided that they were going to bring Love in at that point. So he's won 26 of 32 games with Rodgers, so I'm sure that he wants him to return. And since LaFleur didn't draft Love, LaFleur isn't part of the problem. He's caught in a crossfire. So the coach, is in a tough spot too. But I still think the Packers, no matter what happens, might still have enough to eke out that division.
Is that with or without Aaron Rodgers? You think even without Aaron Rodgers, they're going to be 11-6, Marver?
I still think that they eke out the division, honestly, because the Bears have their issues too.
All right, Rob, who you say is taking the NFC North this year?
I'm going to have faith in the Bears. I already got my Justin Fields jersey, so I'm going to go with the Bears with a record of 10-7, and then just a little bit on that Aaron Rodgers situation. I think he's a little nervous because he knows that he was drafted to replace Brett. So he's seeing the same thing happening once again. It's just that now he's in Brett's shoes. So I don't think he's going to play for Green Bay this year. I think he's very serious about that. Either let me go or I'll retire. So we'll see. It's been a lot of drama in Green Bay, but I got the Bears winning that division.
Yeah.
Mercado?
10-7.
Oh, man. All right. So if Aaron Rodgers is still on the Packers, the Packers win the NFC North. If he doesn't, then your Chicago Bears will be winning that division, one game above 500, and Justin Fields will be starting against Joe Burrow week 2 of the NFL season.
You think it's going to be week 2?
Yes, I think so. I think it plays tough. If you look at that run, especially if Aaron Rodgers isn't on the Packers, you're looking at a run of the Raiders, the Bengals, and the Packers. So it's an interesting start, and it's not the strongest of schedules, even though they've set the strength of schedule. We all know first to last, last to first all the time in the NFL.
All right, I'm going to be the dark horse. I'm going to say the Minnesota Vikings.
Wow.
I think Kirk Cousins and his averageness can definitely help. It'll be a one game over 500, but if the Bears put all their marbles in Andy Dalton and Aaron Rodgers is gone, you think Jared Goff's going to lead Detroit to success? I mean, the Vikings have proven that they can be average enough to make it to into the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to win it all. I'm just saying Kirk Cousins has finally won a game on Monday. I think this kid's turning it around against the Bears of all teams.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that they actually will let Dalton play against the Bengals. And then after that debacle, I think Fields will play in Ohio the next week against the Browns. That's what I'm predicting in week 3, that he will actually, Dalton will play against the Rams and won't do so. And then the Bengals, they figure, they're going to play against the Bengals, the team he played with all those years. And then that might be the end of it.
I like that, Marvin. That's a decent, that's good. I like that one.
Yeah.
That's good. And what was it? Dalvin Cook and Jefferson. That's not bad, Devin. That's not bad either.
I'm just saying it'll be interesting. All right, let's move on to the NBA playoffs. Tonight we got Game 7 against the 76ers and the Atlanta Hawks. We got our expert here, Rob Scott, Rob's 2 cents. I'll bring in an expert, a friend of mine. He's actually a co-expert of Soaring Down South blog. He's on our Tier 60 hotline. He's Josh Buckhalter. What's up, Josh?
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm good. Long time no speak. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to hear. All right, so we got Game 7 tonight. 76ers versus Atlanta here. So, Josh, I'm assuming you're pulling for Atlanta if I had to guess.
Oh, that's an easy call. Yes, sir.
All right, Rob, who are you pulling for tonight? I want to the two of you. I'm hoping say different answers here so we can get some good debate going.
Clearly, I mean, I love Atlanta, but Joel Embiid, even though they made me so mad giving up that Game 5, that's still Joel Embiid over there, man. I'm going with Philadelphia.
All right, Mercado, you want to chime in here?
Yes, I want the madness. I want the anarchy. I want Trae Young breaking hearts. I want that young man to get to the conference finals. I want to see the process get destroyed. I want all the craziness, my boys.
Trust the process.
I mean, Atlanta Hawks have definitely proven they're not a team to be sleeping on this year. I mean, I was the guy who put all my money on the Nets, and look how far that got me. But definitely it'll be interesting. You know, the Phoenix Suns are another team that really, you know, they're the number 2 seed, but they've been surprising a lot of people, and I could definitely think they have a very good shot going on here. But right now, who do you think's going to be facing? I mean, we make it seem clear Atlanta's going to be facing Milwaukee in the next round, but where do we see it going from here? Who, you know, what's the next like, where's this championship going? I'm not the biggest NBA guy here, so please enlighten me.
Well, I'll chime in here. This is Dan. I mean, without CP3, they still won the game today. You know, Chris Paul. So that's a good sign for them, because I thought the Clippers might have an edge, even though they're missing Leonard. So it's hard to say, but you know, I think that Embiid will play very well tonight. I mean, he should be a lot more fit because he's a lot lighter because of the $35,000 fine. He's emptied his pocket, so he should be a lot stronger. I may actually think Philly will end up winning this game and play Milwaukee. I actually was a Nets guy too, so I'm surprised that Milwaukee got past that. But you know, in the Suns series, it looks like the Suns are a juggernaut right now. They might have another strong series and have another week off, because, like I said before, they will have 2 games played today and Tuesday before the East even starts on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'd have to just say that as far as Atlanta and Philly tonight, Atlanta's 2-1 in Philadelphia, so that right there should give you some cause for concern if you're a 76ers fan. On top of that, we know what you're getting from Trae Young, 30 and 11 this entire series. The question is whether or not his supporting cast is going to show up. Last game, Kevin Huerter had a bounce-back game, but John Collins fell off. So if they can put that together, I think that they can really, really take this Game 7. First one, I believe, in their history, so that's going to be exciting. As for Milwaukee, hats off to them for just not falling apart. You know, the Nets were definitely depleted, but Milwaukee stuck together. Chris Middleton, a guy who I've bashed a lot over the years, actually, played his tail off down the stretch there, made a difference. And so whoever they end up facing out of this series is going to get a big challenge, because Milwaukee's got some confidence now. As for the Western Conference Finals, Devin Booker is a man on fire. That Mamba mentality lives on in him. He is doing Kobe proud, and the triple-double, 40-point triple-double for your debut in the Western Conference Finals, that is unreal. And he was really taking it to the Clippers today. And if they don't get Kawhi back, they are in trouble.
All right, Rob?
Big trouble. Big trouble. I mean, just to piggyback what the brother was saying, 40-point triple-double for Devin Booker in his first Western Conference Final, and that was the first triple-double of his career. So what a way to debut, you know, just how good you can really be. You can definitely tell, even with Chris Paul not there physically on the floor, the impact that he has had on that Phoenix team, teaching them how to win. And, you know, my heart is saying either the winners of Milwaukee versus Philly is going to win the championship. But I want Chris Paul to win the ring. I really feel like if he doesn't win now, this is his best chance. There's no LeBron. There's no KD. Everybody's no Kawhi right now. Everybody is hurt. You know, so the NBA injury bug has probably been the winner of this playoff. But yeah, just the Phoenix Suns right now, they're just playing on a different level. And I'm really proud of that team and the things that Coach Michael Williams is doing over there in Phoenix.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, Rob. But Chris Paul, he's getting up in age. He's 36. I mean, it definitely works with, I like that he's got this, the mix of the old and the young there, definitely. But do you see, is this Chris Paul's moment, or is, if he doesn't capitalize this year, he's done? But, I mean, this is crazy. Like you said, there's no LeBron, there's no KD. This is one hell of a playoff run with, surprise teams, which the networks hate seeing that. I personally love this. But I'm just curious, is this Chris Paul's, put up or shut up, do or die moment?
oh, this is it. This is it. If he doesn't win the ring this year, Chris Paul is going to get that tag that Charles Barkley gets, one of the greatest players to never win a ring.
Huh.
Let me
Josh,
jump.
what do you think?
I have to agree with that because everybody's going to come back healthy next year. They're going to have a regular off season. You've heard them talk about it. As they've gotten eliminated, they're not even really that upset because they know how short that turnaround was and how much it really affected the way that they played throughout the season and definitely throughout the postseason. So I agree. If he doesn't get it done this year, it's going to be, I won't say he's done, but he's going to be hard-pressed to match this kind of success that he's had this year in the Western Conference.
And Mercado?
Unless he goes join Brooklyn.
I want to jump in
a
with
lot of old guys like I've been bringing up. And Mercado, you had something you want to weigh in?
Yeah, don't bring that evil to this show, Ricky Bobby, okay? I want to jump into my brilliant NBA primos over here who definitely hit on something when it came to the Phoenix Sun. First, Devin Booker, man, on fire. Chris Paul, it's going to be interesting. It's this do or die, but the man just has this conference bug where anytime he gets to this point, he's not in the damn series, and it just hurts so much. That's why it's going to be, it's everything to see if this team, if it goes long, if they're able to get it done early to get them into the NBA Finals. But we're talking about Chris Paul. What about the man in the Eastern Conference that was part of this legendary battle between him and Kevin Durant, Giannis? We're talking about somebody that has as much pressure, if not more. We said there's no LeBron. There's no longer KD. Philadelphia is as strong as Joel Embiid is. So if you're talking about the man with the target on him, I think it's Giannis. And when I came on this show a few weeks ago, you guys had me on, and it was a wonderful time. I mentioned the series of Phoenix and LA was going to determine your NBA Finals champion. But that doesn't take away the pressure that's going up north right now. And a lot of it is on those broad shoulders of the Superman known as the Greek Freak.
Mm.
In addition to Booker, go ahead.
Go ahead.
In addition to Booker getting the triple-double, I was impressed with the fact that they had 6 guys in double figures: Ayton, Bridges, Crowder, Payne, and even Cameron Johnson. I mean, they got production all the way down to the sixth man. So that's pretty impressive too in the absence of Paul. So I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to win that series.
I want to say that they are lucky that they got that early run from Cameron Johnson because the Clippers made a hell of a push late to try to get back into that game.
Yeah.
Back to Mercado's point about Giannis. I don't know if you guys saw, but KD talked about how close he was to ending their season by his foot being on the line there at the end of regulation. That would have been an entirely different conversation had he hit that shot because you're right. We'd have been talking about Giannis had to get out of Milwaukee somehow, some way. They definitely saved their franchise, I think, for the foreseeable future by winning this making it to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's a great point.
Not to mention, they saved Coach Bud's career because he was not making great adjustments during that series, especially you have a James Harden that comes back and he's on one leg, and Giannis shoots a fadeaway after James Harden waves off help. I mean, sometimes as a coach, you just got to get in your star player face and say, what are you doing? If you don't take that man down there to the paint and get big. I mean, but yeah, Milwaukee too. And honestly, I'm going to say this. Even though Milwaukee beat Brooklyn, we all know it was due to injury. And even though I was one of the teams one of the people that predicted that this team will make it to the Eastern Conference Final. But I want to give a shout out to Drew Holiday. The confidence he took to make that three after you're like 3-18 and you're still able to make a clutch 3-pointer in that fourth quarter. I mean, Drew Holiday, he showed a lot of moxie there, a lot of guts. And then to piggyback to the Clippers and Suns game, did you see the duel that Paul George and Devin Booker was having in the third? I think Devin scored, 18 in the third? Paul George gave you 50. I mean, they were going back and forth. We saw some beautiful basketball played from the number 2 guys. And Devin Booker is showing that he's going to be some trouble in this league for years to come. I'm telling you guys now.
I mean, Devin Booker has trouble to come. Yeah, but I'm looking at Giannis here. In the playoffs alone, he's averaging about 32 points a game here. And I was talking about his foot on the line. I mean, the kid can clearly play. And do you think he's going to stick around Milwaukee here? Is this going to, he's trying to get that bigger contract, being the next LeBron, with these, jumping team winning championships wherever he goes?
So he does have that big contract, right, guys?
This helps.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this moment. He has the big moment of beating KD. He's got his contract. I think it's the thing that we've all just kind of, the underlying thing is, and all of us have mentioned different superstars and different guys stepping up. Phoenix with Aiden and Campaign, and then you had Bowen for the Nets. There's just these guys that are stepping up. It's a new guard in the NBA, and you're having guys like Giannis where, like we just said, if that poetic justice of his foot just being a little too big and a 2 to a 3, and that contract doesn't mean anything anymore. All of a sudden, South Beach seems a lot better. LA seems a lot better. So it's just history is crazy with moments like that.
All right, everybody. So we're running a little bit on time. So closing thoughts. Marver, who's going to the championship and who's winning?
Well, I like the Suns and the West, and then in the East. Well, right now we don't know. It could be we don't know about Philly Atlanta yet. That's being played tonight, but.
Take your pick, Marvin. Who's winning?
I'm
Be a man.
gonna go with Milwaukee. I'm gonna have Milwaukee play Phoenix, and Phoenix wins. You know, another funny thing. I'm at big high school. I'll quickly tell you this. On the Suns bench are two of the greatest high school players in Chicago history, and neither one plays any. Frank Kaminsky was at Bennett in Wisconsin, and then Abdul Nader was at Niles West in Iowa State. I mean, just goes to show you, some great high school players don't always make it in the pros.
All right, Mercado, who's your pick?
So we got ourselves
game. Who's winning?
Suns, Bucks. In a 6-game series, Devin Booker is not your MVP because Chris Paul gets his. The Phoenix Suns get theirs, and it is a wonderful time. My reaction at Mike and Media and at Couch Sports Talk on Twitter, so you can see me pull my hair out because I bet under the money line, and of course, nobody plays defense.
All right, let's go to our NBA co-experts here on the Real Sports 60. Josh, who's winning the champ? Who's going and who's winning?
I got Phoenix going out of the West, and I got Milwaukee going out of the East, but they're going to have to do it by going through Atlanta. To leave Atlanta, follow me on Twitter at JoshGBuck.
All right, Rob, same question.
Oh, I got Phoenix versus Philadelphia in the NBA Finals. And I have Phoenix, of course, winning. I'm going to ride with Chris Paul. Hoping he can, bring it home, man, because as you know, I call him the point god. So I got Phoenix winning in 6 games. Follow your boy on Rob's 2 cents everywhere.
All right, thank you so much. Josh and Rob, thank you both so much for joining us on the Real Sports 60 today. Have a good night, everyone. You too, I should say.
Brother, thank you for having us, man. And happy Father's Day again to all the fathers out there.
Yes, happy Father's Day. Thanks you both for joining us. Marver, closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great time for sports. Like I said, we've got all this going on, and we're going to have Olympics, it looks like, on July 23rd. So, and they have the trials that are on, the NBC networks right now, too. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's good that there are fans in the stands. And that's the main thing that's really pretty exciting. And it looks like we're going to be okay, knock on my head, with the virus, so that things can go forward in a normal manner in terms of fans and not too many sicknesses and all that good stuff.
Mercado, closing thoughts?
Thank you guys so much. Shout out to Jerry. Happy Father's Day to all of you. Wonderful time in the city. Please, everybody, be safe. This is my favorite sports show when it comes to this is a dream come true for all of you who grew up with Chicago Tribune Line, the sports reporters, and I see this is our local equivalent to it. So shout out to Devin, Marver. Love you guys. Twitter at Mike and Media, Couch Sports Talk. If you guys want to make fun of me and my sports thoughts. Love you, boys.
Love you too, Mercado. Shout out to Dan Marver. Yeah. Shout out to Josh. Shout out to Rob. Shout out to Jerry Riles for giving me a chance to do this. And Paul Shivari, shout out for being a dad, not being here with us today. So I had to sit in your chair.
How dare you!
Don't forget to mention our channel on Roku.
That's right. We are now streaming on Roku, everybody, so you can catch the Real Sports 60 24/7 if you got a Roku. And we're also on Comcast Channel 740, I believe.
One of those numbers.
Yeah, we're up on there.
35 up my way.
Dan Marver, the Marvelous One. Mark Mercado of Sports on the Couch. And I'm producer Devin Tingle, sitting in the chair tonight. Have a good night, everybody. Stick around for Cliff Kelly next.